Hey guys, this is Jake here at Canadian Cutting Edge, and today we're looking at this neck knife. This is the Condor Kickback. 1075 carbon steel with paracord wrap handle. Kydex sheath here. Comes with a chain, paracord, interesting knife. Now, a number of you have been asking, am I going to review the Mora Eldris? Well, yes, I've done the Mora Eldris. I've reviewed it, so I probably won't do it in this series, at least not until I've done all the other ones. If people still want to see another review of this, then sure. But look for my Mora Eldris video. Actually, I'll have a link for it up in that corner at the very end of this video. If you can't find it on your own, it'll also be down in the description. One thing I forgot to show in that video is the sheath part. You can stuff that in the back of the handle, and then now you've got a big grip, if you take that off. And now you've got like a full handle grip if you want to, and it holds very well. So that's another option for this knife. So now, without further ado, let's get on to the review of the Kickback. I expect that this video will be posted sometime during Easter weekend. To those of you who celebrate, happy Easter. Or if you celebrate Orthodox Easter, it comes a little bit later. Enjoy. The Kickback. I've gotten a little bit dirty because I've used this guy quite a bit. This is a very usable small knife. We've got all belly all the way across, no sharpener's choil, 1075 carbon steel. Rockwell of 1075 is usually around 55, so it's not a very hard steel. So it's easy enough to sharpen out in the field if you need to resharpen it. We've got a handle that comes out to have a hole. That's a 3/4 inch hole right here. What is that? That's about 1.84 millimeters, so 18.4 millimeters, 1.84 centimeters. That hole in there. So it's not super big, but I can get my pinky right down to my knuckle on there. Paracords with it. Everything you see here is how it comes. Paracord's already wrapped on it. You've got a very good point on this knife. You've got a swedge up top, a halfway swedge coming to the point. It's a nice knife. It looks like it's a flat grind, but I think they're calling this a hollow grind. And we'll talk about how well this grind is done, and you're going to find out that I'm not going to have very many good things to say about the grind on this knife. It was poorly ground. Whoever did the work of grinding this edge, the main bevel, I should say, whoever was grinding the main bevel didn't do a good job on this. The blade is quite a bit thicker right here behind the grind than it is here or here. And that's not the best spot for it. That's one of the spots you use the most. And that's why you can see a lot of silver here, not much over here, and not much over there. I have resharpened this because I used it a fair bit. I do have some pictures of the original edge. I'll show you those right now, the original edge on this side. And as you can see now, I've got a very good edge. Now, I did scrape up the side a little bit right there while I was doing some of my cutting and testing. This is the, what do they call this? The black traction powder coating. That's the name that Condor gives it. I've seen it on a few other knives. It's actually a good quality coating. It's not super, but it's not bad either. It's a good coating, and it does offer traction, and it's supposed to be non-reflective. So what's going to grab people's attention is that mirror edge. Well, it's not quite a mirror edge on there. All right, so the sheath, it's Kydex. It says Condor on the sheath right there on both sides. It's a decent, reasonable sheath. Chain here that comes with it. That's about a 35-pound chain that's how much tension it'll take before it snaps somewhere. So, that's about 15 kilograms of pulling power to pull this apart, something like that. The sheath is just one of those fold-over styles. It needs work. The sheath doesn't hold quite well enough. Like the knife comes out a little too easy. Now, you can modify Kydex sheaths without too much effort. On this one, you just need to pinch this spot here a bit, right there. That's where it's supposed to be catching on the heel of the blade. And you just heat it up, give it a bit of a squeeze, cool it off. Just don't burn yourself. You could use a heat gun or whatever, but it might be more trouble than it's worth because you might wreck it. You can fix it or you might wreck it. Practice on something else first before you practice on the thing you really want to fix. So Kydex sheath, it's okay. Not great, not bad, pretty good sheath. Now the weave that they did with the paracord, that's done quite well. I never do a good job with that. I'm just terrible at it. I won't take this paracord off because I'm so bad at putting it back on. But as you can see, there's a hole right there and there's a hole right there. So let's get a close-up of those. All right, so that's where the weave point starts in that hole. And it ends over here by that one. You can see that the edges are nicely done. Just, not sharp edges anywhere here. The spine, nothing sharp there. This wedge is not sharp on the top. It exists, but it's not sharp. And a nice big flat on the blade. And then you've got the bevel. It's either a short hollow grind or it's a short scandy grind. Even if you just run your fingers along here and you can just feel it get thick right there, right where my thumb is right now. It gets thick right behind the grind. Well, the whole bevel. I'm a little disappointed with that, actually. Made in El Salvador, as you can see right there, by Condor Knives. Let's go over all of the dimensions, all the sizes and everything on this knife. There we go. The cutting edge, I'm also going to call that for the blade length, 7 centimeters, 2.75 inches. The blade thickness with the coating on it is 3.13 millimeters. That's 0.123 inches. The blade depth, it's biggest right in the middle here, and that is 2.23 centimeters, 0.878 inches. The thickness behind the grind, and I measured that about an inch up, not even at the thickest spot here. And there it is, 0.83 millimeters. It's over a millimeter thick here at where it's the thickest behind the grind. And then it's quite thin, closer to the tip behind the grind. It's closer to 0.4. So a lot of variability in the thickness behind the grind because it was poorly ground. The grind angle is roughly 24 degrees per side. Lots of variability in different spots. So I'm just going to say 24.2 degrees per side, something like that is what one of the numbers I got. And it changed a fair bit, but it was a thicker grind. I resharpened it to 21 degrees per side, just so that we could better see visually where it gets thicker behind the grind. So the thicker it gets behind the grind, the more of the ground edge you see for the cutting edge. So that tells you something about this blade. The price, oh no, we're not up to the price of this knife. We've got to do the handles first. The handle information. The handle length and the grip, we're calling it 8.91 centimeters, 3.5 inches. The handle thickness, roughly 1 centimeter, 0.393 of an inch. The handle depth, it's largest right there, 2.5 centimeters, 0.987 inches, so almost 1 inch, and then a 3/4 inch hole. And the total length of this knife, oh, I forgot to put it in inches. It's 15.75 centimeters, and the inches is right here. The factory edge for the sharpness of this thing, it measured in at 275. 200 and smaller is considered sharp from the factory. So it didn't come very sharp from the factory. I could cut cardboard and tear through things, but it really did need to have my own sharpening job done on it, which I certainly gave it a good sharp edge. How much does it weigh? It weighs 52 grams, which is 1.85 ounces. With the sheath, 80 grams, 2.8 ounces. So it's very light around the neck. Not a lot of pressure, just hangs there. Quite good, waiting for you to need it. How much does this knife cost? Well, it all depends on where you buy it. A lot of Amazon sites don't have it, but Amazon USA or White Mountain Knives. White Mountain Knives doesn't have it in stock right now, but the price is around $26 at both places. But I'll give you a link for White Mountain Knives. Anyway, because if you use that link, anything that you buy, you can get 10% off with my coupon code CCE. This knife in Canadian dollars, I think it was at Blades Canada, which is Warriors and Wonders, 36 Canadian dollars. In euros, I found Amazon Germany has it for about 38 euros. What is it? Heine Haynes, it might be 31 euros, 31 pounds in Britain. In the United Kingdom, 31 pounds. So that's the price for this. Is it worth that price? Maybe. To the person who really wants this style, yeah, probably it could be worth the while. The pros and cons on this, well, it feels really good in hand. It's easy to get a good grip of it. You can always know which way your edge is facing because the way the paracord is bound up, you've got a good feel for it. You can do, delicate work with it. You can stab with it if you need to. You can slice things with it. You could clean a small animal if you needed to. You've got a loop back here. You can put a finger or two in so that if you wanted to put your hands down and work with your hands for a little while, and then you just have it back, whatever you want to do with that, that's just fine. It's not a great use knife, but it's a neck knife. It's a small neck knife, I should say. 2 3/4 inch blade. It comes in quite handy for a lot of small tasks. And truth be told, we do a lot of small tasks, we humans. Even if we're out in the bush and stuff, we do a lot of small tasks. So I think it's a good all-round neck knife, small neck knife. The pros and cons I'm going to go over real quickly. I've sort of mentioned them. Good grip. I like the paracord. A nice pointy tip in case you need to do piercing or delicate work. It's all belly, so it's a pretty good slicer. It's not heavy. It's nice and light. The cons, well, the sheath retention isn't the greatest on mine, and the bevel grind, which is that main grind just behind that silver part, this flat part you can't quite see. You can see a shadow line right there. So this bevel where the tip of my finger is going on, that main bevel was poorly ground. So that's, for me, that's a pretty big con. It shouldn't have left the factory, in my opinion, with such a bad bevel. Be that as it may, it's what we've got. And so that's what we review. I do like Condor for the most part. It's a really good brand name. But just like every other company, sometimes a knife gets through that probably shouldn't have. Thanks for watching my video. Happy Easter to everybody. Happy whatever holiday is nearby, what you're celebrating. Thanks for liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Remember, guys, always cut towards your chum, not your thumb.